Hi everybody, happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Sorry we had to postpone our cleanup, but I think it's for the best. You just don't really ever get really good turnout when it's that cold outside, so we want to make the most of our time. We have our first meeting in a month, tomorrow, our first meeting of 2026. Not a super lengthy agenda, but we do have a few things that are just going to be discussed or presented on in our work session. So as always, if you want to listen to those discussions, you've got to come in or tune in to the 5 o'clock meeting. Our first item of business is a presentation of our 2025 audit by Johnson Murphy & Wright, who is our auditing company, who has done so much for us in the past several months. Helped us identify the tax issue. Sadly, not soon enough to get it rectified, but they helped us there. And what will be presented on tomorrow with some support from staff is there was one technical finding in our audit, and it is for a vac truck that was bought just this past year, but had been budgeted for in 2022 for the 23 year. And we didn't get it because of COVID and shipping and all that stuff. Manufacturing was all delayed. And then it got pushed to 24. They rebudgeted for it. We still didn't get it. They pushed it to 25. And forgot to rebudget for it technically. So they didn't put a line item again in the solid waste fund for that purchase. So when the truck did come in, an amendment was not made to the budget for that purchase, and so that was a technical finding. It had already been approved. The purchase had been voted on unanimously, so, approved back originally in 22 for the fiscal year 23 budget. And so it was just a technicality. We had to implement or propose a corrective action plan, and that's going to be discussed by our CFO, Ms. Pickle, tomorrow. But this is a corrective action plan that actually has already been implemented some months ago by CFO Pickle. It was not something weren't doing it for the audit. We didn't know about this finding yet. It was more just so Ms. Pickle, who's our new CFO, this past year was her first full year. And she just wanted to keep better tabs on expenditures on a monthly basis for like big projects, especially that have multiple phases of funding. So just trying to keep a closer eye on that throughout the year, and doing the budget amendments as they occur instead of waiting until the end of the year to do all of them, because that makes it easy for something to get overlooked like that. So we're all human beings and we make mistakes, but there is a corrective action plan in place that will be discussed with the presentation tomorrow at the audit. So if you want to hear about that, tune in at 5. And then after that, Ms. Pickle will be going over our monthly financial update. And that will include a look at our, where we are in the budget year, which is about 50%, versus where we are with certain revenues. Like, for instance, our property taxes were still at only 8% because we're going to be low all year because of the tax issue. So, but she's going to go over all of that tomorrow in the work session. And then item 3 is a traffic safety improvement plan for Ashland Terrace and Morrison Springs Road discussion. This is Chief Seymour. He's our police chief. He's been working with our public works department and some other key staff members on identifying some potential solutions to our traffic issues on Ashland Terrace and Morrison Springs Road, particular to the school zone areas, because we've got the middle and high school on Morrison Springs Road, and we've got now a private Christian school at Red Bank Baptist, which required us by state law to implement a school zone system. So signage and speed monitoring and all of those kinds of things. So Chief Seymour is going to be going over what those plans look like, and, a timeline of the implementation. It will include installation of traffic cameras in the school zones that will only be active during the school zone hours, in addition to cameras in the S-curve on Ashland Terrace. And so that's also going to be talked about. This is not being constructed or anything like this. This is just a discussion of the plan that our chief and other department heads and staff have identified to present to us. So if you want to hear about that, if you have questions, comments, concerns, tomorrow would be a good meeting to attend. And then item number 4, so I'm sorry, before I move on, work session starts at 4:30 tomorrow. I'm sorry, I forgot we had to move it up because we have all of these presentations. So not 5 o'clock, but 4:30 p.m. tomorrow for work session. Item number 4 is a presentation on our Safe Streets for All federal grant award that we were just notified. Via the public press release that was put out, we were notified that we are a recipient of almost $4.2 million in federal funds for these demonstration projects to help improve safety on our streets for everybody, all users, no matter how they're traveling on our roads. So that was really cool, very exciting. Some just very early just concepts were put out on social media just to give people an idea of, what was being looked at, proposed to be covered by this demonstration project funding. And it kind of blew up on Facebook. There were just lots of questions, lots of comments, lots of conversation was had. And so Director Tate, our Public Works Director, is going to go over this in a little more detail tomorrow and hopefully try to address some of the questions, comments, concerns that came up during those conversations. So if you're really interested to learn more about what those demonstration projects could look like, conceptually, and then, into implementation, then definitely you want to listen to that tomorrow. Item number 5 is just an agenda item. So it's just a notification of our withdrawal from the Small Cities Coalition. This is a thing that the city manager is involved in. He is making the decision to withdraw Red Bank from the Small Cities Coalition for a number of reasons, just trying to figure out the best way to create and foster relationships among local government and county and state government officials, and how to really do that best. And Bridget Raper, who is the one employee of the Small Cities Coalition, we all pay a little bit into her salary, is retiring next year. And so we have other staff who have kind of, increased some skills in some ways that maybe Ms. Raper was helping us with press releases. So it just seemed like the right time. So Mr. Graham's going to be talking about that tomorrow because it ultimately was his decision. And he'll talk about what that looks like. Item number 6 is we are getting way ahead of it, but just so you know, it's happening this year. We're canceling our our work session agenda and our regular commission meetings on Tuesday, November 3rd, because it's election day. And it's an election day here in Red Bank. We have 3 Red Bank City Commission seats that are up for the end of their term this year, and that is Vice Mayor Holly Berry, Commissioner Hayes Wilkinson, and Commissioner Jamie Fairbanks Harvey. So the 3 of them, their seats are up. Nobody has been able to pull papers for those seats yet because that's not opened up until, I believe, June sometime. So if you are interested in running, you still have plenty of time to figure out what that looks like. Reach out, ask questions. But yeah, so we're just getting ahead of it, going ahead and canceling that meeting just so if we have folks right now who are running again, so if they're candidates, they can be at the polling precincts on election night. So mark your calendar. And item number 7 is award the RFP contract to Bodine Companies for disposition of the Goodson parcels in the amount of $101,799. So we put out an RFP on 2 properties that the city owns from back taxes years ago, that we put out an RFP to put those 2 parcels up for sale. They're on the side where there's a very steep slope. I think they estimated maybe between 25 to 30% slope. And our steep slope ordinance would activate in that case. So there would have to be additional measures made to ensure, mitigation of erosion and things like that. Not destabilizing the roadway or anything as they're digging foundation and things like that. That RFP was put out in the fall and it closed, and there was only one applicant, and that was Mr. Bodine. And his application went through the Planning Commission. They ultimately voted 4-1 against it. There was a lot of discussion around the recent reappraisal that had occurred by the Hamilton County Property Assessor's Office just this past year, and how the offer didn't really, to them, seem to match what the lots were currently appraised at in this most recent reappraisal that had just gone into effect. And they felt like maybe it was too low of an offer. It is on a steep slope. There are additional hoops that the developer will have to jump through to develop those properties. And also additional cost for stabilization and, to mitigate erosion in the future. So Leslie Slay, the Director of Community Development, is going to go over that tomorrow. And she's going to talk about those numbers and how they don't necessarily match some of the more comparable reappraisals in the area. So tune into that because we are voting on that tomorrow. And it is a resolution, so it's just a one-time vote. If we decided to vote against it and they wanted to reissue an RFP, it would be months before there could be any kind of movement on these properties. Mr. Bodine did say he would be able to start construction and hopefully be finished within the next 18 to 24 months. I think sell for something like, I'm trying to remember, $275 or $275 to $325 per home, something like that, 1,600 square feet, etc. So he'll talk about those details as well. But if we reject that offer, we'll just have to go through that whole process all over again and see if anybody else might be interested. But that's a part of the conversation we'll have tomorrow. So, all right. And then the final item of business is our first reading to appoint an interim judge for February 23rd through March 24th of 26. And that's because Judge Johnny Houston is still medically incapacitated and unable to attend to his judge role. So Attorney Brian Haas has stepped into that role, and we just have to renew it every 30 days. So that's it, guys. If you don't have any specific questions, I'm going to jump off here, and I will see you at our agenda work session tomorrow at 4:30, and then our regular meeting at 6. Good night.